she gonna ride with you?
Mind your own business, John.
Yeah, she's going with me. You take care of yourself, man.
She was in a burn rubber and making motors blow. So after school asked her just how fast she liked to go. She said how many cubic inches she got where it counts. I told her 125 and she put my motor mounts. She's a hot rod whore. Hot rod whore. Hot rod whore. Hot rod whore. Hot rod ain't enough for her. She didn't say a word. She's a hot rod whore. Hot rod whore. Hot rod whore. Hot rod whore. But I'm in my rod of course. She's a hot rod whore. In the bag, she's hot rod whore, hot rod whore, hot rod whore, hot rod whore. She don't need to know your son, just your token power. She's hot rod whore, hot rod whore, hot rod whore, hot rod whore. They're shining my rod up doors. She's a hot rod whore. Hot rod. Shoot. She's hot rod whore, hot rod whore, hot rod whore, hot rod whore. If you ride the first speed, it's guaranteed. You're gonna scour with a hot rod whore, hot rod whore, hot rod whore, hot rod whore. Just minding my back of doors. She's a hot rod
whore. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Jeff's Garage. Let's go ahead and get the obvious out of the room, the elephant out of the room. I am not Jeff, but I'm filling in for Jeff. Jeff, unfortunately, met an unfortunate fate. He's no longer with us. We don't know the details yet, but maybe we'll find out more details as time goes on.
Yeah. So when the owner's away, the shop help will play.
Yeah, and then they bring in some random Sasquatch to do whatever he wants.
And then I got Glick.
So yeah, Jeff had a little bit of a hiccup tonight. I won't go into details about it. It's not my business. I planned on being here as a guest tonight. Yeah, I planned on being here as a guest tonight. I know you guys do a tool segment, and then B, I kind of like the topic for tonight. I'm not going to break down, engine sizes and carburetors and exhaust systems and braking and tires and all that jazz. But nonetheless, I thought it was I could add my 2 cents to the topic. So I'd already planned to be here. Jeff messaged Benji and said no show. Benji messaged me and said, "Hey man, I really don't want to go 2 weeks without a show. Do you think you and I could put together an hour?" And I was like, I think I can manage to be dangerous enough to put together an hour on a car show.
Well, this topic kind of is for everybody, right? It's because of buy or bought, right? So this spans people who buy and who spend money on things like this. So you don't necessarily have to know everything at all. I mean, you really don't have to know anything. You could be a buyer and not as someone who is, let's go and do this all ourselves, which is a really cool topic. Unfortunately, Jeff can't be here. We only have this much of a story that's about this big. But it's a fun topic. Unfortunately, Jeff currently can't join us. I'm not sure, but I know I did not want to go another a week without doing a show because we need to keep up consistency with the network as we should. So yeah, I reached out to Glick and was like, "Hey man, let's just wing it and let's go for it."
Yeah, so I'm gonna do my best to fill in. I had to change my name and everything. I let everybody know I'm not Jeff. I am apparently at the net. I am the do it all guy at the network apparently. So you know,
He's the pivot person for people who don't know that.
yeah, very very timid, very very humbled and very quiet. You know, I don't not an egomaniac or anything like that. But no, welcome to Jeff's Garage. It is part of the Nonsensical Network. If you guys are unfamiliar with the network, well, I say you guys go ahead and familiarize yourself with the network. We are on all them social medias: Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. We do have shows 7 nights a week on YouTube and Facebook. We got to have that chat there so everybody can kind of get involved and add their 2 cents and whatnot. And if you can't join us live, but you still want to listen, well, you can listen to us anywhere you want, whenever you want, on all the major podcasting platforms, all at the Nonsensical Network, where you can simply go to bio.link/Nonsensical Network, right down there at the bottom of your screen. I did mention we have shows Monday through Sunday. Basically, Monday we kick the week off with Men Caring for Men. It's a men's mental health podcast. Tuesdays is this show right here, Jeff's Garage, where Jeff and Benji, and sometimes Blazin joins them as well. And basically, Jeff says if it fits in the garage, it has a motor and steering wheels, they're going to talk about it. Wednesday nights is What the Fuck News, and if it's in the news and it makes you go, what the fuck? We're going to talk about it. My shit is wobbly as hell tonight. Thursday nights is Talking Shit. Mark and Brian are doing their thing. They usually have interviews lined up and people that they're going to be chit-chatting with from the entertainment world, movies and music and or not music. Sorry, music is my thing. They're not allowed to do music. Movies and television. Fridays is Glick's House of Music. It's a music show. I'm hanging out, interviewing musicians, chit-chatting with them, getting to know them a little bit better, and introducing you guys to their music. Saturdays is Nonsensical Nonsense. Unhinged, unapologetic, comedy-based show. We're just having fun. It's a bunch of guys or girls hanging out, having a good time. And we say or girls because we do put the link in the chat. And we encourage you guys to come up. We call it the Open Door Challenge. And then, but last but not least, on Sundays is Jarvis. Now he's taking a little time off because he will be rebranding his show and coming back with a brand new show. And as we know more about what his show is going to be and what it's going to be about and what the new title is going to be, we all know it's going to be a sports show, but we don't know what direction it's going to go. We'll let you guys know. So make sure you guys are checking out the shows Monday through Sunday on the network. I think I lost Binge or I lost myself. I don't know. Maybe we're just sitting here doing a show on a blank screen. I couldn't tell you at this moment in time. But no, like I said, unfortunately, Jeff was not able to make it tonight. I couldn't tell you at this moment in time. Yeah, you got a little spinny dial. But like I said, unfortunately, Jeff was not. Yeah, you got a little spinny dial, like you got no connection. Won't load you up. Jeff had some issues today, so he won't be here. So I'm going to do my best to fill in. And if tonight goes anything like last night, I may go buy a garage, stick a hose in the exhaust pipe of my car, and just sitting there and drink a bottle of Jack Daniels. Until sweet. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. I have no idea where I was going with that, but nonetheless. There we go. Now we got you.
Completely unsure why that did that. That was weird.
I don't know. yeah, that or Ozzy Osbourne's Mama on Coming Home. I don't know. I just went. I don't know. I told the guys we have a group chat for the network on Snapchat, and Jarvis was like, "Jeff, is everything okay?" I said, "Jeff is dead." And Connor's like, "Wait, for real? Like, what?" And I said, "Yeah, he's DEAD." D. What does that stand for? He's dead. Like he's unalive? Yeah, he unalived himself. Or he's unalive. He's no longer breathing. What the hell happened? Chupacabra attack. So the guys got all,
I guess.
Yeah. No, we honestly do not know what's going on with Jeff. But no, so really Jeff had a topic tonight. Yeah.
Yep.
Jeff had a topic tonight, and like I said, I'm not a car guy by no means. But I think I can sit in this one. Basically, his question for the show tonight was built or bought. Is it better to buy a car? So said like, oh, what's that auction that's on? What's that big auction where they auction the cars? Barrett Jackson. Thank you. See, I don't even know that. You know, would it be better to buy a car off of Barrett Jackson, say that's completely done and you don't have to do anything to it, or is it better to build it yourself?
I have opinions.
I have multiple opinions on this. Like most things in life, I sit in the middle of the fence. But I'll go ahead and start with you, Ben.
Just to be clear, I am on the fence in multiple different directions on this specific topic. I
am too. Yeah, I am too. You know, part of me, because I'm not a car guy and I don't know anything about cars, is like, if I had the money,
yep,
I'm just gonna go buy. You know, like, I'm a truck guy, for instance. I love big old monster pickup trucks. If I can go buy one that's already lifted, already got the big ass motor, I already got the sweet ass paint job and everything in it, and I have the money, I'm gonna buy it because I don't know how to build it at the end of the day. However, you know, if it was something like, you know, say, you know, a project car that me and the buddies bought, I'd be like, oh, I don't know much, but I'll hold the flashlight. I think that would be really cool to build a car.
Did you say flashlight or flashlight?
Flashlight, whatever.
Mm-hmm. As long as you're holding it, you're good.
Yeah, as long as it's being held. And I've done that before. We back when I was in high school, we built an old Nova. I think it was a 70 or 71 Nova for the drag strip. And it was a project car that, you know, a group of us got together and was like, buy it from the junkyard and rebuild this sumbitch. And I was like, I can do body work.
Yeah. It's not about winning, it's about just hanging out with your friends, right?
Yeah, and ultimately that was what it was. We had many nights where we were hanging around drinking, and even though none of us talk anymore, or I don't talk to any of them anymore, I still have fond memories of those nights in the shop, you know, hanging out, drinking, shooting the shit. And it's not that it's not that we had anything bad happen. Just life happened, man. You know how that goes. Sure. You're married, you have kids, you go your separate directions.
For sure. And hey, Leggy, we're rebranding. And what's up, True Crime?
What up, True Crime? Jeff is unfortunately no longer with us.
Oh, that's too funny. We don't know what happened to him.
Jeff is no longer with us. My exotic dancing skill.
We bondoed right over him and sanded him and painted him and shipped him on.
Yeah, trust me. My dancing skills are exotic because I have a serious lack of skills.
No, man, I think it's pretty cool that you did that with your friends. That's as guys, I think things like that is needed, right? That's kind of like, you know, being a younger version of building a fort with your friends out in the woods, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got to have that. It builds the skills of communication and teamwork. Like men, we kind of need that, right? We need those little building blocks outside of school. In my opinion, that's what we need.
Oh, 100%.
Yep. And you know, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I consider myself a leader. So learning those early skills, you know, hanging out with friends and communicating and building confidence at a younger age, playing sports. It builds those little skills you don't see getting built, and all that turns into what you can become, right? So I think that's pretty cool that you were able to do that with your friends.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of like it's. I don't think we see it too much anymore with the younger generation, where you have those moments of really bonding and hanging out with your friends, whether it be guys and girls or a group of guys or girls or whatever. You don't really see that, because I mean, shit, Lord knows when I was growing up, hell, we built a fort on my parents' property. We found an old chicken coop from the original house, and we just doctored it up a little bit and made it into our little hangout.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I are very similar in age. So there was no participation trophies.
We still played dodgeball. There was no participation.
Correct.
Jeff is alive, ladies. As far as I know of, right now, Jeff is alive.
Correct.
Last I
no. We didn't actually check on him. He checked in with us and say, "Hey, I'm ditching out on you guys." So it's a little confusing. We're confused, so you're okay to be confused.
You're confused, so we're confusing you guys even more. Is he dead?
Yeah.
Or is he alive? Yeah.
and basically, I told Glick, I was like, "Hey, let's do a show. We can't go a couple weeks without a show. It just doesn't make sense for the network. We're trying to build something here, so let's stay building, right? We don't need the owner to show up on the job site to say, hey, screw this bolt in. Well, we know how to screw the bolt in.
I mean, the owner is on the job site. I'm going to do everything around here for you sons of bitches.
Yeah, man. There's it's as we were growing up, man. It was a lot different than the. Now we didn't have internet when we were growing up, right? So it was a lot more hands-on everything. So I guess we can tie this back into the builder bolt.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't have
the internet's doing something funky, so I just I didn't know where there was a delay at.
Yeah, you're like cutting in and I don't know if I'm cutting in and out tonight, but you're cutting in and out. So
I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah. We didn't have the internet back in the day when we were growing up, so we occupied our time with other things.
Correct. Yeah. So again, you and I are in a similar age, so we were more build, not vault. I didn't grow up with money, literally whatsoever. So if we wanted it, we had to make it for the most part. And again, I wasn't an inside kid. As an adult, you literally see me hanging out in the garage, just so you guys know, construction-ish. I am outside all day. This is all due to when I was growing up. I'm not an inside guy whatsoever. I actually do not like inside. If I could live in a freaking 300-foot camper, I would probably be A-okay because I don't live my life inside. I am a kind of just go for it kind of guy, right? Not on everything. I do have my limitations and my skill sets, but for the most part, man, if growing up in the 80s and 90s, I stayed outside and my parents had no money and was like, either you build it or you don't have it. Literally at all.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I've always been. I don't know what Haynes are. Are Haynes manual a thing over there? I don't know what that is.
Not a clue.
I've never even heard of it. I'm assuming it's some kind of car, but I've never even heard of it. Jeff would have probably been like, "Oh yeah,
of course, manual car."
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she said manual. So this manuals, of course, the limitation of manuals, I would assume worldwide, is being pretty restrictive, and I think that started 10 plus years ago because they have automatics that are so efficient now that they can change the gears quicker, and your gallons per mile has went up with how efficient each five
Oh,
yeah. So manuals are limited. I think most of them are, you can like special order them for the most part, but most of everything is like the semi-manual to where you just shift gears with the paddles.
I think she's talking about the books. Yes, those are a thing over here, where you can buy it's you buy it specific for the car. So like, kind of like this. That's the Haynes manual.
Oh, you talk, man. Yeah, you get
Oh yeah.
like AutoZone to get those, but I don't. Do they? But you know that was simpler times when those were more readily available, right? When there wasn't 7,823 computers on cars.
Yeah, exactly. Or YouTube for that matter.
When a car,
Yes.
when a car was just a car, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do. And actually, when I was 16, before I bought my Bronco, I wrecked my car, and we were taking the engine out of a car we got from the junkyard. The body was perfect, but the engine was blown. But the engine in my car that I wrecked was still in great condition. It still ran and everything. So we were swapping motors, and my old man basically told me, "You wrecked the car. You take the old engine out. You take the bad engine out." I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and he threw one of them books at me that was specific for that car. So me and my buddy just went out there. We're like, this. We were trying to pay, and then finally we just was like, "Fuck it, let's see if we take these bolts out, what happens?" And then my dad had a good laugh at it because literally took that engine apart piece by piece, and he's like, you could have just been like unbolted these 6 bolts and taken these cables and wires or whatever off and moved these hoses, and we could have just lifted the engine right out. And I'm like, no, but I could build you a house.
Sure. Well, back then it was way simpler, right? There was more bolts than there was computers. And nowadays that is not the case. You can't just swap a motor over to a new car because the computer that came off of that car originally was programmed to these brakes, these airbags, this, and that, and the other. And then you have to reset the whole ECU. So and now you need a $10,000 computer to operate, a $40,000 car. It just doesn't make sense anymore. So you take everything to a dealership because they have the $10,000 car, and you just pay your $3,000 bill and you move on. Life.
No, it's. I had that happen with my Cruise that I had. The power steering went out on it. And I popped the hood and I'm like, where's the container for the power steering? The fluid. Where's where's the pump? And like I know a little bit when it comes to cars, and I can't find any of this shit. So I'm like, I call Chevy up. I'm like, I got the manufacturer's warranty, bumper to bumper or whatever. Do you want me to bring it in? Or and they're like, well, can you drive it? And I'm like, I mean, yeah, it's just a pain in the ass, and I'm just down the road. I ain't no sense in sending a tow truck down here to get it. Get down there, and I go into the shop, and the girl that's behind the counter, I'm like, I don't know where the power steering fluid goes in that thing. I don't know where the pump is or anything. She started laughing. She said, well, there's no fluid. It's the only fluid that's in this car is oil and your windshield washer fluid. She said it's probably a bad relay or a fuse or something. I'm like, what? Sure enough, it was a fuse had blown for the computer or whatever. And then the unfortunate thing, I say unfortunate, I had to wait like 3 or 4 days until that little fuse came in so they could replace it. But with my warranty, my warranty, I had a loaner car. The only loaner car they had was a Chevy Camaro SS. So I was like, oh, shucks. I got to drive an SS around for a few days. Yeah,
it's quite unfortunate, right? The older cars you get, the more you're able to work on them, and the newer cars, you're just not able to. It's so expensive, and it's not due to. Of course, the parts are expensive, but it's really just comes down to the computer, right? You got to own a computer to be able to freaking do anything on these cars.
Yeah.
They've really taken the ownership of the vehicle. Right? You're allowed to drive it. You're not allowed to fix it. And it's a little bit of a bummer.
Well, and I think that, with the topic of the show tonight, if you're into the older cars, obviously, maybe you want to build one. But if you're, like, I love the new trucks. Obviously, when I trade my Equinox in, I want to get the Colorado. But I can't go buy one in the junkyard and rebuild it myself, because, like you said, it's all computer. I don't know how to do any of that stuff.
You literally got to have a computer to fix it. I mean, I don't care if you fix everything on it. You have to stick it to a computer to get everything to run right. I guess, growing up in our days, I started driving in like the mid 90s. You had to have a computer to tune a car. After you put a whole bunch of performance parts in, you kind of need them to get together. Now you got to put a computer on it after you rebuild it just to turn the damn thing on.
Yeah,
because it won't run, and it's like, oh my gosh, and again, like a tune was like a few $100. You're like, oh my god, this is expensive. You're buying computers like these. I mean, it's literally an iPad, and they're massively expensive. Like massively. So if you don't have a friend that owns a garage, you're screwed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not like I'm hooking my car up to my laptop. It's a specialty computer.
100% specialty. So in turn, it makes no sense to own that computer unless you're making money off these vehicles.
Yeah.
Completely agree. For the most part, I completely agree, Stephen.
Yeah. Now,
and it's all due to government regulations at the end of the day.
Yeah. The Haynes manuals were awesome. I had every time when I bought my Bronco, my dad was like, you need to get one for your Bronco. All right, cool. I don't know what I'm doing, but it did come in handy. Again, I don't even do oil changes anymore. I used to do my own oil changes. I don't even do that no more. I just take it to Valvoline.
I really wanted to do the oil change on my Porsche behind me, behind me. The only thing that stopped me was I didn't have ramps, right? My Porsche was stuck in, I'm not going to go into detail. It was 150 miles away from where I currently live. So my Porsche was somewhere, then I lived at the beach, but then I had a house at the beach where I was living, and then my company moved me to a new place. So my Porsche was stuck since March at another place. And I was like, okay, I really want to do an oil change. And I'm like, dude, I can't do an oil change because I need ramps. This bitch is on the ground, right? And I was like, so I ended up having to take it to like an oil change place to get this done. So I provide the filter, I provide the O-rings, I provide the crush washer, I provide all this shit. Holy cow. I did not know. Little Porsche takes 9.2 quarts of oil. I walk out for $187 or $86 and some change. Because I did high mileage, full synthetic. Obviously, it's that kind of car. But I was like, holy crap. But there's nothing I could do. I really wanted to attempt to do it. This car's really neat. You don't even have to lift the hood up. The hood is not right there. And the hood is, hold on. So the hood is not right there. And the hood is not right there. The hood is right there. It's in the middle. But you don't even have to lift the oil. You don't even have to pull the hood up to do an oil change on the car. So everything is done in the trunk and underneath the car. Because I have two trunks and the engines. So where am I at? So it's like, here's my trunks and here's my engine, like right here. So it's, but I was like, dude, I would have probably saved $100 if I could have just done the damn oil change myself. But me not having freaking ramps, and I'm like, I live my house where I currently stay. I'm only here for a year. It's 150 something miles from where my car's at, and I'm like, where the hell do I put a set of ramps that I'm going to buy and a car that's, I don't know, 9 foot long?
Yeah.
I'm screwed. I put my convertible top down, and I got my riding partner ramp and ramp 2. You know, what do I do?
Yeah.
But yeah, these older cars you can do stuff with like that. These new cars, you have to turn the key a certain way, then pump the brakes X amount of times, and pump the gas X amount of times, hit the brake, turn the key on or turn the key off 3 times. They're like super complicated.
That's why I Jeff and I have had the conversations before, and I'm like, I'm just driving the goddamn thing. As long as it gets me to point A to point B, that's all that matters to me. I'm not trying to do anything extra, it's too much anymore. I would love to, and even back when I was, out of high school, I had that mentality. It was like my Bronco. Yeah, I bought my Bronco, and it was done. And that's why I bought it. The only thing I did was put a bigger lift on it, put bigger tires on it. But that was a fucking piece of cake. That was 3 hours in the shop and throwing the lift on it and throwing the new tires on it. Bada bing, bada boom, get out the way. It already had the engine in it. It already had, the modifications on the engine. And the only thing I knew is that when the 4-barrel kicked in, that I could literally watch my gas gauge do this.
Yeah, the custom gas gauge.
Yeah. But it was nice because I did have to replace the brake lines on that truck, and because it was lifted, we literally sat underneath of it and just pulled the lines down. And again, it took us a few hours, but locked them in, took the old ones out, put the new ones in, bled the lines, and was ready to go. The only thing I do to my car now is put gas in it. Outside of that, oil changes, everything.
Yep.
I won't even change the tires on the sumbitch. I take it in and get it done. Because as I found out, those sensors that are in your tires on the rims or whatever, apparently those sensors are designated for front left, front right, back rear, or rear right, rear left. Because when I had my tires done, they apparently crisscrossed my back tires, and I got a warning light saying my driver's side tire was low on air. I went to go get air, and I'm like, it's fucking full. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. Walk around to the passenger side tire, and it was like, oh, okay. Now that.
So they don't even allow for rotation anymore.
No, because it crosses. I'm assuming there's a sensor in the rim or something. I don't know. I don't know anything about this shit, so it's like I won't even change the tires off the time.
I didn't even think about that. Is if that specific sensor is for that specific, suspension, everything, and it says this sensor belongs to this specific side of the car, then it doesn't even allow rotation unless, and this is the kicker, unless you own a computer saying rotate tires on this car, and then give a direction of which way you're rotating. There's nothing simple anymore, and this goes for everything, right? That it takes people to learn a specific skill in each, whatever you want to be a professional in, right? Like I'm a professional in crossface, and you're a professional in whatever you do. If there's not enough professionals in this industry, the price of stuff goes up on everything, right? So I always tell people, college is cool. If that's what you want, if you want to be in debt and get a higher education, make sure that's what you're going to do. There's openings in that field. If you're kind of questioning things, get a freaking skill in that involves fixing homes, fixing automobiles, fixing the shit, because and I make a really good freaking living, and the prices are only going to go this way. They're not going to go this way at all.
No.
Damn, you need a computer to rotate your freaking tires. Holy shit.
Yeah, and I would assume most of the tire places, they're going to have that computer. I don't know. I'm just assuming because, like I said, I had new tires put on my car, and that sensor said that my driver's side rear was low, and it wasn't. It was my passenger. So I'm assuming that there's a sensor in there, and that's the only thing that would make sense to me. But I encourage people all the time, go to a trade school, man. It's free, and if you go after you graduate high school, it's not very expensive. You'll pay it off fast as hell. Learn a trade. There's always options down the road for higher education. You don't have to go right into college if it's a career that you really enjoy, a career that you really like. A lot of companies within in-house will. I mean, like company I work for, I can go online to our portal, and there's all kinds of training and classes that will give me open doors for more opportunities in the work that I do, and it's all free. It's through the company.
Completely agree with you. I think the company I work for will pay for like 4 certifications, and those 4 certifications I could probably use at 30, 40 different companies.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I wouldn't leave my company. I make beyond a good freaking living, but it's literally just so we can bring in more work at the end of the day, right? I don't think there's enough people saying, "Hey, I make a really good living working with my hands," right? I think that's a huge problem. Like, oh, that's hard work, but it's like, I do pretty well. Just because I work with my hands and I'm near bugs and I'm near dirt. I live in a $500,000 house. I mean,
nice. Hey, give that.
Good.
Yeah,
work with your hands, people. There's doctors that live in $500,000 house, but also have $200,000 in debt. I have none of that debt.
Yeah, exactly. No, and the nice thing about it, it's like anything you do. The more you do it, the more knowledge you get on it. Yeah, digging ditches is hard, but you do it for a few years. You learn ways to make it easier. You learn.
Yeah, then you start to tell the guys how to dig the ditches. Mm-hmm. That's what I do. I tell the guys how to dig the ditches, and every once in a while I get bored. I'm like, you know what? I feel like digging a ditch. Like today, I said I want to drink beer before 3:00. Well, guess what I did? I went in there and told those guys how to dig that ditch, and by 2:30 something, I was cracking a cold beer and was having a good time.
Can't beat that.
Yeah. People get a skill. Skills are great.
And people have to be willing.
If you're wanting to do something like you want to do, Steven, obviously you're going to have to go to a school. But there's other ways to make a crap ton of money and not ever have to go to a school of the hard knocks. That's the school I went to and figuring it out. Right. And I tell you, it built a crazy amount of character working in warehouses around. I was freaking 18 to 22, 23-year-olds and have these 40, 50, 60-year-old guys that's talking shit to me all day, just cracking up. And it built so much character. That time I spent with those guys was invaluable, right? It gives you such thick skin. It teaches you like how to talk shit, how to have a good time in a place you don't want to be in. And it's like, it's so much fun, man. And I think that's really important for young men.
Oh yeah, no, that's like today at work we had a light that was giving me that wasn't working down in the garage, and I was just going to change the ballast out, and then unfortunately the ballast was a specialty ballast, and it's in Taiwan, and I found it on Amazon. It would have been here by Thursday, but my property manager, she wanted me to just replace the whole fixture, and I'm like, 5-minute ballast job. Wait a day or two to change it, or I go down there and fight with this stupid. Well, she's like, I'll get one of the guys from the building next door. They're just the same property management company manages the buildings next to my buildings. And I was like, I don't need anybody, to be honest with you. I can go down there and swap a light fixture out in about 10 minutes. Oh, I don't want you to get electrocuted. I'm like, look, I've been doing this work for a very long time. Trust me, I no longer work with electricity hot. I'm not that guy anymore. You get hit a couple times, hit a few times, you get knocked off a ladder. You learn, hey, you know what? I'm going to take the extra 2 minutes and I'm going to go find the breaker and I'm going to turn that sumbitch off. And that's what they make flashlights for. And, you know, I'm going to do what I need to do.
Damn right.
Yeah. She insisted on it, and the other guy came over, and he was literally just like my little helper. I mean, it was like, hold this, grab my screwdriver here, hold that flashlight up there, you know, and at the same time, you know, he was asking me questions about it, so kind of got to do a little education course or whatever, but we were chit chatting, and he was like, man.
That's cool.
Sometimes this fucking shit. And he's like, oh, my language. I'm like, dude, I've been working in construction pretty much my whole entire life. I was like, you think the F word is going to bother me?
I think if you don't say the F word, we got problems. Like,
yeah, right.
Are you
if
here
you
to
don't
style
say
me?
fuck, yeah, if you don't say fuck at least 6 times in 15 minutes when you're on a construction site or in the construction field, then you're either A, brand new to the field, or B, you're an alien at the end of the day.
yeah. You're in the office coming to spy on me, see if I'm doing my job right. Fuck that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we know how this game works. Don't bullshit a bullshitter. I've been doing this for way too long.
Right. I'm like, yeah.
I'm leaving at 3. I'm leaving at 3 o'clock, and I go 5, bitch. I know how this works. Yeah, that's too funny. Yeah, Jarvis. You know what's really sad is they've closed a lot of trade schools down in high schools, and actually I went to trade school while in high school, and I honestly think that was the best part of my high school. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If I didn't have that trade school, I would have lent through high school. I had the determination to completely graduate. I graduated high school, all that. I had the determination. I had, you know, great parenting that you know, pushed, you know, at least getting a high school diploma and all that. But I no doubt about it, I would have lent through it. I hated school a whole lot. I never thought I'd be in construction, but I ended up finding myself in construction. I find myself very fortunate to do what I do, but they really need to get trades back in school, and they push college debt so much now. I think that's really it's really sad. They need to bring back trades in schools.
And you know, some kids are just not meant for. I was not meant for college. I would have never.
Same.
You know, and that was the cool thing, you know, and we still have them here. We have the vocational schools, which is essentially, you know, a trade school, whether it be a career center or CTech or, you know, whatever. You know, so that, I mean, that's what Jeff and I did. We took building trades at a career center / vocational school. 2 years in there, and you know, your first year, you're kind of learning the basics, and as you get towards the end of the school year, you're doing more and more projects and stuff like that. And then your second year, it's a little bit more advanced, and most of us were working our senior years.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Because they and the nice thing about the vocational schools is they prepare you for your job. So like your science, like your math class is catered to whatever your field is. So, you know, we weren't learning a whole bunch of dumb shit that pertained to our field. We were learning the stuff that we would need to know. Or, you know, my oldest one just graduated from the vocational school here in town, and she was in the medical program. So like their chemistry was based around the medical field. Their science or whatever, you know, about the only class it was like, you still have quote unquote mandatory credits, like, you know, like a government or social studies.
Your English, math, science stuff, sure.
And she literally did a phys ed credit on the goddamn computer. Like, when I was in,
that's no good.
You know, when I went through school, you had to have that phys ed credit by your junior year before you could even go or have the opportunity to go to the vocational school. You had to have that. We had, you know, like our English class. There was a lot of speeches and stuff like that, and basically getting us used to being up in front of talking to people and or talking to people. There was a lot of group projects where we would play out a scenario like a job site or something like that. So we got used to having the proper communication and how to talk to people and how to talk to customers and stuff like that. So, you know, all of our classes were catered to what we were doing, which is great because it prepares you better than going to high school and you're like, what the fuck am I taking 3 years of French? I'm never going to use French, but I have to take graduate. But you know, even afterwards, there's still a lot of trade schools around. They're just, you got to leave home. You know, there's a fantastic trade school down in Tennessee, down outside of Chattanooga. It's and they teach a little bit of everything, but their main focus is linemen and tower guys.
Oh, that's neat.
I've known a few guys that went through that program, and yeah, you know, you might have to bust your ass, and you know, by the time you're 40, you feel like me. You feel like a 80-year-old man sometimes when you get out of bed because you beat your body up for a few years. But at the end of the day, well, you ultimately land yourself in a position, if you want to be in that position, to where you are making really good money and you're doing pretty well for yourself. And like I said, after you do things for so long, it's second nature. It's not that hard. You know, it's not that hard to go out there and, like, I'm not digging a fucking ditch with a hand shovel. I know I'm a heavy equipment operator. I know how to run equipment. I'm jumping on an excavator and digging a ditch. You know?
No, I completely agree. I think, you know, everyone has like this, oh man, it's so hard to make a 6-digit income, right? And it's tough at the end of the day. But man, all you have to do is get really good in your field and be better than everyone that's around you. Effort. People don't understand how much effort pays off, especially in construction. You go in there and make yourself better than everybody else. You're, at the end of the day, after you get that position, you're the one not beating your body up any longer. You're making that 6 foot. Yeah, you're making that 6-figure income. You're not beating your body up. You're in charge of that stuff. And I don't know, in CrawlSpace, I did at least 5-6 years before I made that leap up to a 6-figure income. But it was a long, hard 5 years plus. You know what I mean? Like it's tough. But man, all you have to do is grind, and at the end of the day, you just outlast everyone. So 16. My daughter's getting ready to be 16. So before my daughter was born, I worked at Coca-Cola, right? And I worked with a guy who his name is John. No one's going to know him. He worked there like 4 or 5 years before I did, and he was like, "Oh, I want to move up," and I was like, "Yeah, me too." But if anyone's ever worked for Coca-Cola, it's a son of a bitch to move up in Coca-Cola. So when there was a fill-in position that had to be filled, I just told the boss, I was like, "Sure, man. This John doesn't want to do it. I'll do it just to be a team player." Blah 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 blah. Well, then they filled that position, and then another position came that paid like $5, $6, $7 more an hour. I can't remember the time. It was so long ago. I immediately got that position. I was pissed off at me. Like, look, I didn't take the position but wanted it. I took the position because the team needed it to be taken. And the company saw that I did what had to be done. And it's like in spaces, there's huge crawl spaces sometimes, and then there's the little tiny ones. Be the son of a bitch that agrees to go in the little tiny ones. If there's 5 of them, agree to go in at 3 times. Be the person who steps up, because then you gain that experience. You know how to do it. And then the people who are in charge sees that you're doing it and be like, you know what, this guy needs to step up, because then he can tell the people who he knows what to do to go in there and immediately do this, fix this, and get somebody out of it. Right. And that's what I did. People don't want to grind anymore. They think, higher education and getting all the student debt, and I need to sit behind the computer and blah, blah, blah. Well, all those people who sit behind a computer are going to buy property or buy things that need to be worked on. And that's where people that come in who are like, okay, this is what it's going to cost you. And this is what it's going to take for you to pay for my experience, because I'm not only going to do this correct, but perfectly, right? And I'm going to get it done efficiently. We're going to use the best products and all this stuff. I'm not just a fly by the seat of your pants. I've done this for 6 months. No, I've done this for plus 10 years. And this is what you're going to pay for. And we don't have the such a small number. Your and I age group, man, there's tons of construction workers, but they're so limited in America now. They're coming from other countries that are coming in. Like I have a group of Spanish workers that work with me. Fantastic. Fan-freaking-tastic, these guys. I don't have any Americans that work for me. And it's sad. Not that I hate on the Spanish guys I work for, but it's like, man, we're the Americans that should be learning this. I'm passing my knowledge on to people who are not from here. And I really want it around, right? You pass it to Americans, pass it to, the immigrants. It's just, I wish more people from America would schooling. I think at the end of the have to start pushing trades.
Yeah, not only that, but like Hans said, if you work the hardest in the position, then your bosses sometimes they'll overlook you. It's not always about working the hardest. Sometimes it's about being working smarter, not harder. At the end of the day, I've always, if I don't know something, show a willingness to learn. That'll go a long way. I'm with that with a lot of people. I've been in the positions before where I've trained people or had to train people or people shadowed me, and I can tell within 5 minutes if somebody really wants to learn and somebody really wants to do it, or if they just want to kind of fluff off and do whatever. And I'm not going to waste my time on somebody who doesn't want to learn. I'm not going to waste my time and energy. I'm just going to go do my thing and let you do your thing, and hopefully the company will sort you out. But I learned that a long time ago. I'm not going to be the I'm dependable. People can count on me. I'm going to do the work that needs to be done. But I'm also not going to go above and beyond and create a situation where I'm stuck. But, I think as long as you show a willingness to work, a willingness to learn, like I'm not an HVAC guy. I did that on purpose. I know a little bit about a little bit, but I did that on purpose. Why? I don't want to do HVAC work. Why? Because it sucks. However, it pays really, 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 really well. But I'm not an HVAC.
I know how to do a little bit of HVAC, and it is paid really, really, really well.
I know enough to be dangerous when it comes to HVAC. But I purposely stayed away from it. However, I might have purposely stayed away from that, but I learned like fire and life safety, fire panels, sprinkler systems, codes and shit like that. So not every we might have a guy who's really good at HVAC but doesn't know anything about fire systems or sprinkler systems or fire panels. However, I do. So pick and choose where you want to be strong at. However, I've been fortunate in my life because I've done a little bit of everything. At one point in time, I was a heavy equipment operator. I loved it. I wouldn't want to do it now because it does take a number on your body. You get jostled around and beat up and everything else. But I'm not back where I was. Even like when I was working for Orkin, my knowledge and whatnot in construction made me a huge asset to the company because a lot of the people there, especially right before I quit and came back home to Ohio, it was a bunch of kids. I swear to God, we were a pest control company / daycare because we had a bunch of kids that were in their early 20s working there. And, my background in construction benefited me a lot because, I could help customers, and then instead of them having to go, I don't know how to do that. Well, first and foremost, if you're going to call a handyman out, get you at least 3 of them out here and get 3 different quotes. You may not go with the most expensive, you may not go with the cheapest, but you're going to go with the one that makes you feel the most comfortable. Sometimes on the weekends, I would be doing a side job, and customers would be like, well, we'll just pay you to come and do it because you already told us how to fix it and what we need to do, and you already know what it is. And I'm like, I like to drink on the weekend. Fucking drink. We don't care. How long is it going to take you? I don't know, 20 minutes.
7 beers.
Yeah. We'll buy you a 12-pack and give you a little money on the side, and you can drink while you're doing it. Hell, we'll drink with you. I'm like, whatever.
Those are amazing customers. Yeah. Steven, yeah, man, I tell you what, man, when I worked in a factory, that sculpted me a lot, right? I loved BSing. That was my favorite part of working in a factory, is kind of growing as a young man, right? That was so much fun in a factory, growing. But what I quickly realized is, in a factory, you get really good at your station, and then as kind of an individual, you're just a number that you're scanning in to clock in, you scan out.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to stand out when everyone, especially in production based, it's really hard to stand out against anyone. So I found my niche was in construction, and I really focused. So kind of what I did is, my wife got me on. It's like, hey, there's an opening with this company, and I got really crappy training. So what I started to do was I sat back and watched these guys, and I got really good at watching them. And I was like, okay, now I understand how they're installing it, blah, blah, blah. And then I left that field completely and went into another field. I was like, I'm kind of done with crawl spaces. I want to break from it. And then when I went into this other field, I was right back in crawl spaces all the time. And I was telling these homeowners who they should call and blah, blah, blah. And then they were like, oh, can you come in and just do this for me? So kind of like what Glick was saying.
Yeah.
Because I had this knowledge, right? And then I end up just doing it on my own for like 10 years. Crawl spaces or working at warehouses is great. I honestly think if you're going to work in a warehouse, you need to do it as a young guy, to kind of just get you to the next part of your life and kind of figure out where you want to be. Do you feel like the walls are closing in on you? Do you want to be out in the world? And then I realized I wanted to be out in the world. I was not a guy who liked a classroom. I was not a guy who wanted to be in a cubicle. I was not a guy who didn't want to see the outside. And it took me a little while to get that. But by my mid-20s, I realized, hey, I need to not be here, because I had like ADHD, and I would get really hyper-focused on my job, and I got beyond stupid good at it. And then once I did that, I got bored. And I would just churn through jobs, and I was like, clearly there's an issue, not with the work, but with me. So I had to figure out what worked best for me and where I needed to go. So I do the same thing almost all the time, but I do it at different addresses, at different locations. Like, I travel all of North Carolina. There was a reason why last week's show didn't happen. I wasn't even where I lived last week. I was in a hotel. I've done the show a few times from a hotel. But this hotel did not have great Wi-Fi, so I couldn't do the show last week. I'm fortunately home right now, but I think I'm out of town tomorrow. Then I come back in town, so I've got a crap load of driving. Then I'm back in town for a whole week, or like another.
Speaking of internet issues, yeah, but all kinds of internet issues today. He was getting booted. Now I see that was my thing. Like, I was never a warehouse guy. I didn't like Benji said, factory work
keeps kicking me out. I'm not sure why.
Might be internet issues. Might be like dropping and whatnot. But like you said, Benj, I was never. I enjoy being outside too much.
It's great.
That and I think people,
for the soul, it's great.
Yeah, exactly. That, and I think, like you said, people in factories, they just become a number. When you have 40 people doing the same exact job, it's kind of hard to stand out.
It's really hard. Because at that point, how do you stand out? You just have to be the last one standing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't
exactly.
I can't prove myself in any other way other than saying, "Oh, I've done 10 years," or I can go into construction and be like, it depends on whatever you do. You're a framer, but like, you know, these three guys, it took them all day to build 3 walls, and I built 3 walls by myself. You stand out in different ways in construction, and or pest control, what you were in. It'd be like, oh man, most of our guys do 8 tickets a day because I have a background in pest control. I don't want 8 tickets a day. If I'm paid off of tickets, I don't want 8 tickets. I want 12. I'm here to make $100. I'm here to make 200 a day.
Mm-hmm.
You say production.
Yeah, and shit, I don't think I ever did 8 tickets a day. Depending upon the job, so depending upon what I was
doing. It's laughable, right? Because you wanted to make money, it's laughable.
Yeah, depending upon what I was doing. I mean, first and foremost, I had the biggest route in the branch. It damn near doubled. Like, we had 2 guys that quit the company. Well, one guy was kind of sort of ish terminated. And another guy quit the company, and they started their own company. And they were great guys. One guy trained me. I actually was his replacement. And the other guy was another great guy that I went to him for advice and help quite a bit. He was always right there. So I stayed in touch with him. And I ran into one of the guys one time, and I was like, how's business going? I see on Facebook, looks like you guys are staying busy and everything like this. And this was about a year after they started. And they're like, man, we're up to 400 and some customers. I was like, hell yeah, dude. And I kind of chuckled. He's like, what are you laughing about? I said, I said, at that time, my route was like 450 customers. And they're like, what the hell, dude? How do you have time to breathe? I said, I really don't. I said, however, I'm doing residential / commercial, and I'm the only one in the company doing it. So there was days like, I had downtown Charleston and I had the islands. So like there was a day when I would be downtown Charleston, I would do King Street. I would knock out 30 customers and be done by 2:00.
Like an apartment building?
Yeah. No, commercial, all that shopping area. And then that was just because most of the shops were only like, or the restaurants were a lot of the shops were like 10 by 20. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It just and some of the restaurants weren't much bigger than that. So I'll pop in there, do my thing. And it got to a point where most of the time, all I was doing was going in, doing a couple of little preventative things, and then chit-chatting for a couple minutes because they didn't have any problems because I was taking care of it. And it was more of
your job?
Yeah, it was more of a peace of mind thing where they're like, we're just happy to see you once a month, Click, to be honest. We know you don't have to do anything. I could be spraying fucking water if I wanted to at the end of the day because they didn't have any issues because I took care of them.
Correct. Yeah, construction / labor jobs they can be so much fun. They really can. The hard work is there, but they can really be a lot of fun at the end of the day. And I wish more people would get into it. And they don't realize, like you're saying, Stephen, like you enjoyed the camaraderie between coworkers. Yeah, but man, I tell you what, I have never gotten more satisfaction doing work for a direct customer than I ever did with a coworker. Helping somebody with a problem is freaking amazing. You do not understand how good that makes you feel to knowing that you help them and their family out in a situation. Like it's an amazing freaking feeling. And that's why I do what I do. I'm really good money, but I thoroughly enjoy helping people. Like it's fun.
Well, that's what I enjoyed about, working and even, being in construction. But that's one of the things I really enjoyed about working was the fact that I was there 8, 9, 10 years. I don't know how long I was there. It was close to 10 years. And I had the same customers for the entire time. Yep. I got to, I was basically a part of the family. I'm the working guy. I'm there every month or every other month. I got to watch their kids grow up. I got invited to graduations and weddings and shit like that. Christmas time, they would get me cards or whatever. it was more of that, that interaction with my customers. And I enjoyed the guys I worked with. And when we got the opportunity to hang out at the shop or whatever, we take it. But I was more of the customer based, and I look forward to seeing my customers and hanging out with my customers. And there was a lot. I had a handful of customers that were older customers that, in all honesty, they just wanted company. They didn't.
Absolutely, man. It's amazing how you realize sometimes they don't necessarily choose the company; they're choosing who does the service for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's today. So I started a job on Monday. We finished it up today. The customer had been screwed over by at least 2 other contractors, might be a third. We got interrupted.
Yeah.
And I looked dead at her and she was like, I don't really trust contractors. I was like, cool, you don't have to trust me at all. I said, you'll trust me at the end. Mm-hmm. Because I'm here to do the job correct. Where everybody failed and just sold you something, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to install something that you're going to want to buy, that you are glad you purchased from us.
Yep.
And she ended up leaving before we completed the job. And she left an envelope and wrote a note on top of this envelope. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I was like, oh, she threw some tissue in the envelope so it would hold it down so the wind wouldn't blow it away. Opened it up, $300 freaking tip in there.
Nice.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It was just because she saw that we gave a crap. She was like, she wasn't buying into the company at this point. The company's not there. I'm there. Like, she realized, hey, you know what? This guy is the real deal, right? He's not coming in and saying, hey, let's do this, let's do that, and just saying, let's do this and let's do that, and not explaining why things are getting done. I ended up upselling her like an $850 product.
Damn.
And not because I wanted to sell her an $850 product, because the sales rep missed it. And I was like, look, you guys have been referred by a doctor. Let's do this because, and here's the pictures why. People just have to care at the end of the day. And once people start caring, they don't buy the company, they buy you. And that's why you have those customers for so freaking long.
Well, not only that, and one of the other benefits of learning and wanting to be knowledgeable and want to learn what you're doing, you have to remember, a lot of these companies that are out there, people just aren't, flipping, scrolling, hitting their scroll button on their laptop and closing their eyes and pointing their finger. They have salespeople. They have people in the office. So you become you start out as a technician. You become knowledgeable on the product, know how to do the job. You move up. You get out of the field, and you get to be a salesperson. You get to go and do that line of work, and you already know everything that's going on. You know what's going to happen and how it's going to go, so that makes you an even better salesperson. Then you're not out there digging ditches at the end of the day. So there's that.
I guess that's a little bit of a difference with me because I know how to sell the product. I know how to install the product. I know the product description. I know where it's manufactured. Because at the beginning of my 10 plus years ago, I gave a crap. Right at the beginning, I was like, I have to make a change into something. I have to start saying I care about something. And then I became a professional in it. And now the customers, they're buying into that, right? And they're like, okay, this guy really knows what he's talking about, and he gives a crap. And at the end of the day, I do. Right, I have to support my family somehow, so I might as well give a crap about what I do. And I always look at it like I don't know everything about a house, right? I don't know how to lay shingles, I don't know how to siding, whatever. But what I'm good at when I go to someone's house, I want to make sure I'm as close to the best as in it as I can possibly be, because whoever I hire to do something on my house, I want them to be as close to the best as they can possibly be. Right, because it's all a big circle at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So I want to hire someone who gives a crap, and I want the customer to know when they hire me, I give a crap. Like I want to do right by you and your family, because we all work hard for our money, and I want to make sure that customer knows that their hard-earned money is going to good use. And we're going to rock this out.
Exactly, and you do that, You get good at what you do, and then you start making good money. And then you can decide if you want to buy a car already done, or if you want to buy a car that needs to be redone and pay somebody else to do it for you. Because that would be me. I would go to a junkyard and be like, I want that Mustang. And then I'd be like, all right, I'm going to go to this shop for the engine. I'm going to go to this shop for the body work. I'm going to go to this.
No, you're 100% correct about that. You have options when you become a legitimate professional and you make more than just a living, right? At the end of the day, we don't want to make just a living. We want to prosper. And I'm very fortunate to where I am able to prosper, but it didn't come right away. I had to put forth all the effort, all the sacrifice. There was times I remember that it just is what it is. When I owned a beach house, and in order for me to own that beach house, there was times that I remember paying for dinner. Like I'm looking through a restaurant window at my wife and kids eating, and I'm standing on the outside of that building into a customer because I know what it takes for my wife and kids to go eat that dinner while we live in a beach house. It's like, and she would be mad, and I'm just like, suck it up, Buttercup. This is what I have to do for us to live an amazing freaking life. I'm in my early freaking 30s, and I own a goddamn beach house while owning another house in another state. It's like you have to make sacrifices. Like last week, I was just gone for 9 freaking days from my house. Do I want to do that? Hell no. But in order for me to make the living I make, I have to do things like that, right? A 6-figure income doesn't grow on trees. You have to earn that freaking position. And buddy, there was a guy told me once, what you won't do, somebody else will. And that was, I don't even know if my daughter was born then. And I took that to heart. And I was like, okay, well, I'm sure that I do what other people won't do to get exactly where I want to be. And as much sacrifice as I have to put in my younger years to get there, I'll make sure I get there, right? Like I'm willing to do what I have to do, because there are so many people who are like, no, I don't want to do it. And it's like, okay, I'll take on that burden. Yeah. And I've been really freaking successful. And I'm grateful every day. I'm humble. And I try to build people up around me. I never knock someone for doing less. I'm just like, why can't you do more? But if you don't want to do more, I'm like, okay with that. I don't look down on people, but I do my best every time, not only with the customer, but people who work for me, to build them up as well. Yeah. So I try to be as humble as possible.
Like I was saying earlier, I'm willing to teach anybody. I'm willing to train anybody, but I've reached a point that I could tell within 5 minutes if they really want to learn or not. And if they don't want to learn,
for sure.
Get the fuck out of here. I don't have the time. I don't have the patience. Now I'll be an asshole. It doesn't really matter. What aspect you want to talk about, whether it be in the construction field or even as simple as doing this podcasting thing. I mean, I'm still learning too, but there's guys out there that think they know everything. And it's like, you know your ass from a hole in the ground. Let me help you out. And then they don't want to take advice. And it's like, all right, well, get the fuck on. Go on about your business somewhere else.
But some of those guys don't know how to have fun either, though. Let's face it. Some of those guys don't know how to have fun. And it's like as simple as, hey, Glick, there was a boo-boo tonight, and then I actually found out first, and I contacted you, he contacted you, and it's like, hey, man, let's just wing it, right? Yeah. Let's go have fun with the people. Let's go have fun with the network. Just because we have a title show doesn't necessarily mean we have to stick to it. I was really open to what tonight could be, and I'm kind of cool with it. Didn't turn out to what the title was. Sometimes this isn't a men caring for men kind of scenario. That was last night. But there's a different view on Garage Talk, right? Yeah. Garage Talk is everything. That's what's super cool about Garage Talk. Well, and in Garage Talk, I'm like warehousing and any kind of thing, right?
Yeah. you know, if you want to bring it back around, everything we've said about the construction industry applies into the, you know, you start out at working at Valvoline oil, changing oil. Then you work your way up, and you're working for, you know, mom and pop garage, and you're learning more stuff, and you're doing more things. You're changing brakes, you're changing carburetors and fuel injectors, and doing tune-ups and this, that, and the other thing. And then who knows? You land you a fucking sweet ass gig for like Honda, and I know Honda right now. They're bringing people in off the streets with no knowledge and sending you through college for free. Yep. While you work to get the education that you need to be a mechanic for Hondas, you know, and then you do that for a few years, you get the education, you save up some money, and the next thing you know, you own your own garage. And you're a specialty garage because you're the only guy in town that can work on Hondas or Hyundais or, you know, whatever.
Absolutely.
And
move you up to like a manager or anything. I mean, the options are open once you start getting that education and that experience, right? You don't have to stay where you're at. I mean, Honda also equals Acura at the end of the day. You see, oh man, the Acura dealership's hiring, you know, just going off your example. There's so many opportunities. People should really put in the hard work, and manual work can really pay off in dividends in the long run.
Yeah.
With no debt. With no debt. That's the most important part. I have no debt.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
And that's the other thing. I mean, you get all that education and all that, you know, and I'm a hands-on guy. Like, I'm not the type of guy you're not going to put me in a classroom and teach me anything. Now, you put me out in put me out in the field where I can get hands on, and I'm also the type of guy, like, I'm gonna make mistakes, but I'm gonna learn from them, and then next time, you know, I might be a little bit better, and then as time progresses, I'll be a little bit faster. I mean, I remember the first time I ever changed a ballast, I had no idea what I was doing. I got electrocuted probably 10 times on the first ballast I ever changed. Of course, it's not much. It's just like a little bite, you know. It makes you go, oh, shit. You know, I probably got bit 10 times. But the second ballast, I only got bit 5 times.
There you go. There's progress.
You know, like I said, I've been doing it long enough where, yeah, you know, I've been doing it long enough now. I don't work on electricity hot anymore because I don't want to get bit anymore, even though I know what I'm doing, and more than likely I'm not going to. But I don't want to take the chance, so I hit the breakers and do what I got to do. But shit, I pop up there, knock a ballast out in 5 minutes. You know?
Yeah. I've changed a bunch of balances working at Coca-Cola. Yeah, it's I was a vending machine technician, which means I was a vending machine technician and cooler technician. So I changed out a bunch of balances. So I know exactly what you're talking about. So every time I had to change one, I did the old unplug.
Yeah.
So I know it was they bit me a lot less that way.
Yeah, exactly. And I got a little tester too. Even if I flip the breaker, I got a little tester that I'll put up to it. And if it doesn't do anything, I'm good. If I put that little tester up there and it goes beep, I'm like, nope. Now I got to figure out where this is wired at and why it's still hot.
Yep. That's funny. But that's experience, people. That's what experiences teaches you. Well, man, this was a fun show tonight. This was great hanging out with you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've got to hang out.
Yeah, this was fun. Thank you, everyone, for all the comments. We appreciate it. A little bit of a different show, maybe next Tuesday. We'll have how that goes.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I guess Glick and I will find out in the days coming. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious to see if Jeff will be on the show tomorrow night because, God, I really want to know what I really want to hear what this situation's all about.
And if he is, I want to see what the background.
Whether
like.
we talk about it. Yeah, right. They got me
Is
locked
that
in a
Pedro?
cargo ship somewhere.
Oh no, that's Pedro and Carlos and Juan.
No.
Like, what the hell's going on here?
Right? What the hell is
that's
happening?
funny.
God damn it!
That's not an eclipse.
No, we have no idea what Jeff is doing or where Jeff is. As we said in the beginning of the show, I had planned on being here for a little bit. The first segment, if anything, I might have stayed a little bit longer. It just depended. And I was in the studio waiting, and then I was getting ready to message Jeff, and Benji texted me and said, "Hey, you want to do a show with me tonight? Like maybe an hour or a little more, because Jeff's not going to make it." So I messaged Jeff, and he said, "Yeah, I'm not going to make it tonight." I was like, "Okay, cool." I don't think he has any idea that we still did the show and that that I hosted it.
There was some shit, and there was a fan, and then it just went everywhere.
Mm-hmm. We had a couple minor technical difficulties at the beginning, but we got it figured out. I appreciate I enjoyed hanging out with you, man. I enjoyed the conversation. Like I said, it's been a hot minute since we've got to hang out on one of the shows together.
Yeah, it's because I worked in one place, worked in another place, worked in another place, and lived in one place, and would go back to that place, and I'm everywhere but here.
Yeah,
and every once in a while I get to be here and not there, and over there and over there. So sometimes I get to be here.
I don't. You know, a part of me misses those days, but then also a part of me doesn't miss those days. I just changed up everything because I wanted to play a song for an outro. I don't know if Jeff does or not, but I'm going to. But a part of me misses those days where I got to travel. You know, I've worked for companies where I've got to travel all over, you know, go to different states and be there for a while and do different things. And I loved it, you know, but I think now I don't think I would enjoy it as much, because I have kids. I didn't have kids back then. I have kids and they're older. I mean, if they were younger, it might be a little bit easier to do, but now that they're older,
wow,
that's the part,
man.
like,
I'm actually the complete opposite of you.
Yeah.
I'm more willing to travel because my kids are older. My youngest is getting ready to be 16. If they were younger, that was the reason I left Coca-Cola, was because I had young kids, and I literally would clock in at 5:55 in the morning, and I was fucking lucky if I got home at 9 o'clock at night. And I was like, there's no way I'm continuing to do this, because I am not seeing my kids. I'm not raising my kids. My kids don't even freaking know me. But now, my daughter's almost 16 years old, so of course technology has progressed a lot in 16 years, right? So
exactly. Well,
there's texting, there's all this stuff. So I don't mind it as long as I can keep the travel less than 5 days. This week I went 9. So I don't know. I went 7, but I came home for exactly like 14 hours and like 20 something minutes, and then I left again for a couple of days. That was too much. So if I keep it at 5 days or less, I don't mind the travel any more than 5 days. I miss my wife. I miss my kids. I miss my dogs. Right? You know, I work hard for what I have here at the house, and it's like I do want to see it.
You want to be able to enjoy it, and that's one of the things that, you know, I think the biggest thing is my kids they're older, so they have more going on now compared to. But I think that's the one thing that, you know, when I moved back home to Ohio from South Carolina or from Charleston, because literally it felt like that's all I did was work. I was working so many hours and long days and stuff like that. When I came back home, I was like, all right, I'm probably not going to make the money I was making in South Carolina, but I am going to have a better work-life balance. I'm going to have more of a life and less of work, which is something I've stuck to.
Sure.
You know, the job now, I'm 7 to 3:30 every day. I'm home on the weekends. I get the occasional call in, you know, whatever, after hours. You know, I'm home on the weekends. If I want to take a day off, I just be like, hey, I'm taking tomorrow off. And they're like, all right, we'll see you when you come back.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
Yeah.
But I get paid. You know, I can take time off, and I get paid for it. It's not like
I
I'm
think
sitting
that's kind of what's weird about my schedule. I don't work. I probably work. Well, I'm not even going to BS. I work way less than what you work. Right?
Mhm.
Like, I don't know the last time I worked even close to a 40-hour week. It's been absolutely years. I'd say most of my weeks are below 30 hours when I'm actually physically working. I got off at 2:00 today. I cracked a cold beer by 2:30 something. And we knocked out a $10,000+ job in I don't know 12, 14 hours maybe. And then I take off and I got to drive 2 hours to work tomorrow, go knock out a pretty difficult job. But I had an option not to do that. The owner was like, no, you don't have to. And I'm like, no, I want to because I want to get this job done because this family needs the help. Right.
Yeah.
That's the difference between maybe me and a worker because I want to help this family. And I got to drive 2 hours. Like, cool. He's like, oh, I'll put you in a hotel. I'm like, no, I'll just drive back. It's going to take me 6 hours to do the job, but I'm just like, whatever, man. I got to work a long day. I mean, I've worked long days before, and it's like, cool. If I got to drive 4 hours, but I'm only got to work 6, I'll do that. I probably won't even work Thursday and Friday. Like, you know, it's like, it's cool. Yeah, man. You have to be grateful and thankful for what you do have, right? And every day I'm grateful and thankful for what I do have. And I am fortunate to where I don't have to work a 40-hour week. I'm able to help people who have some medical issues sometimes with stuff. And I'm so grateful and thankful. And, I always try to pay it forward. People have to be grateful and thankful for what they have. It is so important. And be humble and just put your best foot forward. Because the old saying goes, someone always has it worse, right? And that is insanely true. And I have been in a situation where I've had it a lot worse. It's like, I haven't personally been, but when I got with my wife, we were on food stamps. Yeah. So I know how it is. I grew up extremely poor. So, having what I have now, I take nothing for granted. And I still put forth all the hard effort, and it's like you do what you got to do, and that's what's always cool about you, man. We've always related into the construction field and going out and about to different job sites and doing things like that, and just giving it all that you've got at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, and that's ultimately all we can do. I might not have everything in the world that I want, but I'm doing better than others at the end of the day,
Absolutely. Absolutely, man.
So you can't beat that. No, I love what I do though. I mean, it's like we were talking today and my job's not very stressful. I was talking to my boss, and her and I were chit-chatting a little bit. My job's not super stressful. I got some shit that I really don't want to do, so I'm putting it off and knocking out other things that I need to do first, and then I'll eventually get to it. She's like, it needs to be a priority. I'm like, I'm making it a priority. It's just not a high priority.
No, I got you.
But there's the cool little perks that come with the job. We're here in Columbus. They do a big fireworks display. It's called Red, White, and Boom. And my building is right downtown. So it's like I got free parking in a parking garage for Red, White, and Boom. If I go down to Nationwide Arena for a hockey game or a concert or something, Nationwide Arena is right across the street from my buildings. I'll park in the garage for free. There's like the shit that I don't necessarily want to do, and I'm only one person in my building. The perks that are there outweighs it. So it's like, I could be grumpy about having to do this one thing I don't really want to do. But then at the end of the day, I can also look at the fact that I can come down here and go to a hockey game and not have to pay $50 for parking,
Just so you
Where
guys
other
know,
people,
no team in the playoffs that's in Ohio. Glick's team didn't make it this year.
Yeah, no, they haven't been in the playoffs in a couple of years. So.
Just so you know, my team didn't make it past the Rangers. It is what it is.
They're rebuilding the Blue Jackets.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah, that's so your blue is called Carolina Panthers here. They've been in a rebuild for a long time.
Yeah,
We're the new Browns.
I mean, they were in the playoffs. They were in the playoffs a couple of years ago. We had a really good coach, and then they're like, "Yeah, you're fired." And now he goes down to Tampa, and we all know Tampa's been doing lately. So, it's like, thanks, smart people.
Yeah, I mean, my hockey team made it pretty far. I mean, like I said, we didn't get past the Rangers, but I'm a Hurricanes fan. Actually, he's good. What am I? 10, 12 miles from the Hurricanes arena. I live pretty close to that. Actually, man, I'm pretty excited. I think June 27th, we got some tickets to go see a Tool, like the band Tool kind of scenario thing. So I'm super excited. I got a date night. Haven't had one of those in a long time.
What is a date night now?
I'll text you about it once I figure it out.
Yeah, I will say that about Nikki and I. That's one thing. I mean, the Panthers are up 2-0 in the series. So let's go Florida Panthers.
Yeah, the hockey game has been really good. Yeah, he's actually talking about Carolina.
Oh! I thought you were talking about the Florida Panthers. We were talking hockey.
No, the Florida Panthers are freaking amazing.
We're not gonna talk about the Carolina Panthers. All right, look, I'm a Browns fan. I know your pain and your struggle right now. So
yeah, it's okay. It's the part of being a fan, right? You got to stick through the thick and thin.
Yep.
Okay, well, I got to get the dog in because he's harassing Walker Byers. But I really, really appreciate everyone coming in tonight. Glick, again, man, I appreciate you jumping in on a complete freaking whim and kind of, doing what we have to do for the network, right?
Yeah, I do what I can. It was one of those nights where it's like, I'm available. I ain't got nothing else. I'm just waiting on Nikki to get home from work so I can go to the gym. And other than that, I'd have just been sitting on my fat ass playing video games. So
I'm getting ready to go do that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going out and kicking my daughter off the TV and play a couple games of getting a couple rounds of Call of Duty and before Nikki gets home. But no, man, it was fun. Like I said, I enjoy talking. I always enjoy talking to you. You know that. Always have. So, guys, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. I know it was a little bit different, Jeff's Garage tonight. However, it is Jeff's Garage, as you see my name, not Jeff. But I don't think Jeff typically does it. But I can do one thing kind of car related tonight.
Do it. You gonna make vroom vroom noises or something? I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of ish car related.
Well, I've got the junkyard dog in the background making noises on my side.
It's about a truck. So there's that. My guy, my guy Derek Wayne Douglas. He was on with me last Friday night. Make sure you guys check him out on all social media. He's got a new song that just dropped, and actually his debut album drops Friday. So make sure you guys are checking that out as well. Here's his song, Chevy Silverado. It's a short song.
I'm in my Chevy Silverado, peeling the label off a long neck bottle. Ain't thinking about tomorrow or will follow. I'm just living every moment I borrow in my Chevy. Run fine, but it still ain't driving. Sometimes I enjoy my silence. Cold beer with the moonlight shining. Right here, that's where you'll find it. That's perfect timing. You ain't heard I'm vibing. That's the words I'm trying to use to prove I ain't lying. Just chilling with the window down. You can hear that sound. Crickets in the background. You can feel that now. Just chilling with the window down. You can hear that sound. Crickets in the background. You can feel that now. I'm in my Chevy Silverado, peeling the label off a long neck bottle. Ain't thinking about tomorrow or will follow. I'm just living every moment I borrow in my Chevy. Just recline unwind in the moonlight or the sunshine. It's your life and I got mine. Cause sometimes all we got's time. Creekside in the tall pines, maybe beachside with the palm skies. Or mountain weather living too cool. On plush leather feeling too smooth. I'm in my Chevy Silverado, peeling the label off a long neck bottle. Ain't thinking about tomorrow or will follow. I'm just living every moment I borrow in my Chevy. I'm in my Chevy Silverado, peeling the label off a long neck bottle. Ain't thinking about tomorrow or will follow. I'm just living every moment I borrow in my Chevy. Just chilling with the window down. You can hear that sound, crickets in the background. You can feel that now.
Woohoo, car related. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for hanging out. Make sure y'all check out the network, Nonsensical Network, on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. We do shows live Monday through Sunday on YouTube and Facebook. You can hang out with us live, get in the chatter's box, shoot the shit with us. We always enjoy that interaction. And if you can't watch us live, or you miss us and you want to catch the shows, well, they're always up on YouTube. Or you can listen anytime, any place, wherever you listen to podcasts at, all at the Nonsensical Network. Give us a follow. Give us a listen. And if you'd be so kind, give us a share. Don't forget us to give it the old double thumbing. And if you have any problems finding them, well, you can go on over to bio.link/nonsensical-nonsense, and all them links are right there for you to click on and hit that follow button. See you guys next time around. Maybe Jeff will be back next week. We'll see what happens.